You're listening to the Mopcast Network.
Welcome to the weekly Mopcast, your look at what's happening in pop culture and what's going on in the Mopcast Network. You can follow us on Twitter at Mopcast Network or on Facebook at facebook.com/Mopcast Network. Now here are your hosts, Scotty and Stephanie.
Hi everybody, this is Scotty, your Native American pop culture spirit guide, with a very special episode of the weekly Mopcast. I think we're at 87. I have a different co-host with me. I'm actually on vacation in Seattle, and I kidnapped Toy Run's Jake. So Jake's actually driving me around, so I guess he's kidnapped me. Jake, what's up?
What's going on?
So we have been traveling. What is this? West? Is it West Washington?
Yes.
Geographically,
We went to the Pacific Coast, which is west of Seattle.
So I've come to Seattle to see Pearl Jam twice and come see Jake, and we're on a little mini adventure before the concert tonight, and we went to Aberdeen.
And we are currently back in Aberdeen.
We're currently back in Aberdeen,
which is significant to especially your Pearl Jam era.
Right, home of Kurt Cobain, birthplace of Nirvana. Also, it has the neatest, strangest Star Wars shop that I've ever been into.
It is infamous, that's for sure. Don Sucher is the guy that started this years and years ago, I think in 97.
We're actually going to pass it in a minute, aren't we?
We are going to pass it again. He started this to have something to do with his sons, and it just kind of snowballed, and it's called Sucher's and Sons Star Wars Shop, and I believe it's the largest on the West Coast of a shop dedicated purely to Star Wars.
I would say mostly. I would say purely now, because
that's true.
It has got some other interesting fandom stuck in. I was surprised to see a Ghostbusters section,
right?
Or I don't know, section of. I mean, they're grouped together. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the best way I could describe this store is if you remember the 1984 movie Gremlins.
Yes.
And the beginning of that, the dad, played by Hoyt Axton, was looking for his son a unique Christmas gift. He ends up in Chinatown in this weird Chinatown store that's just full of stuff that looks unorganized and disarrayed. This is the shop. We were missing Mogwais. That's clearly what we were missing. But it's I mean that like not in a bad way. It's almost like a loving way. It's so just stuff everywhere. That's a way to disarray. It's just beautifully disarrayed.
There is a unbelievable amount of Star Wars merch and paraphernalia packed into a shop in the most disorderly fashion. I mean, it is captivating to the eye. Things hanging from the ceiling, things mounted on boards, display cases in random orders. I mean, it is a feast for your eyes. But if you have any level of OCD, you would probably want to kill yourself upon entering this store because it's everywhere.
It's like, I mean, it's organized by there's a Ghostbusters section, and in the back, which I thought was funny to me, in the back behind like a curtain is all the secret Star Trek stuff.
Yes, that's been banished to a back room.
He's like, I don't want to tell people I have it, and
right.
and then beyond that, there's another room full of 80s, 90s toys. So there was Turtles and Joes, and I saw a Captain Power ship, Captain Power ship, and you pointed out some other stuff.
Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, what was the pigs, the army pigs? Remember those?
Yeah, the
Barnyard Commandos.
Barnyard Commandos.
And so those were there. I mean, bizarre.
It is. I mean, 95% Star Wars, but the most Star Wars you've ever seen. Probably in one place.
A lot of Power of the Force 2 era stuff. A lot of like Phantom Menace era stuff, and
Yes.
a lot of that kind of. Not too much vintage. I saw a couple.
Vintage has been picked over the years as the shop became. It's moved a couple times, and as it is come to be known, through like podcasts like this or trips, people have made. It's got a little more attention. It's also right on the route to the big tourist town, so it gets a lot of traffic. He actually, when we were in there earlier today, he actually mentioned how many cars pass that, and I can't remember what he said, like 10,000 cars a day or something past the little street that it's on here in Aberdeen. So he gets a lot of traffic, so a lot of things have been picked over. Like, I'm kicking myself. My family and I came through here a couple weeks ago on just a little vacation to the coast, and he had just got a box of vintage He-Man, and I didn't have my list with me, and I didn't quite know which ones I still needed, because it's been a while since I went through them. And sure enough, I get home, I took a picture of what he had, I got home, I needed like everything in this box, and they were all pretty mint and complete for like $5, so I kind of missed out, because of course they're gone at this point.
That kind of stuff happens. I was surprised that someone else could find them.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff going on in there. And you were mentioning he had a Carrie Fisher tattoo?
Yeah, so he had a picture. He has a Princess Leia tattoo, and then he went to one of the Star Wars conventions years ago, Celebrations, and she signed above his arm, right above his tattoo of her, and he went right over and had them permanently tattoo the signature onto his arm.
So Carrie's always with him.
Yes.
Which is
carry on forever. Hashtag.
It's that fine line between sentiment and creepy.
There was some creepy stuff in this shop here, though.
Yeah, the underwear was bizarre.
Yeah, custom Star Wars panties isn't exactly what I expected to see.
I saw the Star Wars condoms too.
Yes.
I'm
not your daddy.
I'm not your daddy.
I'm not your father.
Saw those. It's a neat show. So if you're in Aberdeen, definitely come check it out. You have to. Just
it's like number one on the list of things to do in Aberdeen.
You have to.
Not a lot.
Yeah, there's not. It's a small little town here, and
it's almost a ghost town to its olden legacy of being a logging town.
Right.
So they don't do much over here now. And look at, there is a sculpture of a bird dead upside down in a horse body. Yeah. Well,
welcome to Aberdeen. Welcome. So,
come as you are.
Well, that's their logo of their town.
Yep.
So they've really embraced the Kurt Cobain culture here. We did not go. I will do this on the next trip to this area. I did see a sign for Forks.
How long have you been 17?
A while.
I know what you are.
Say it out loud.
Vampire.
Are you afraid?
No.
I had forgotten how much pop culture-y things came out of Washington or were based around Washington. So it's Twin Peaks is up here, and
Twin Peaks is just
Northern Exposure, and all kinds of crazy.
Frasier took place here.
Frasier did take place in Seattle. That's true.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Mercy. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do? Good night, everybody.
He came here once. He came here once to film one scene of him walking out of the famous Pike's Place Market. Are you planning on attending Pike's Place?
No, please tell me about Pike's Place.
Pike's Place is it's a market that's down on the almost the waterfront. you see that we have a big.
We're now passing the Star Wars store.
We are now passing the Star Wars store. The Great Wheel is the big. I want to say merry-go-round, but that's the wrong word. Ferris wheel.
Ferris
Thank
wheel.
you.
I passed it, so I saw it.
So that's right near Pike's Place Market, and it's got lots of vendors. It's where the famous fish throwing guys.
Throwing the fish. Okay,
Yes.
all right. I now know.
Yep. So they're there doing that every day. But you also have lots of food vendors and flower vendors and whatnot. But the reason you'll want to go is because there is a pretty cool comic book shop and autograph shop and poster shop underneath on the lower level of Pike's Place. It's called Golden Age Collectibles. So that's something that should be on your to-do list.
I am doing Seattle touristy things on Thursday.
Perfect.
Which I guess is tomorrow as we record it, and last week as I have already done them. But I'm doing the Pop Culture Museum.
Yep. So it used to be called EMP, the Experience Music Project, but and they started off Paul Allen, Microsoft, Bill Gates, all locals here. He's a huge collector, and he was collecting a lot of Jimi Hendrix memorabilia and grunge band, and so he started to open this. He had the opening of this museum. And it's mostly music-based at first. Like, inside is a performance area. They actually call it Sky Church after Hendrix's belief in music. Yeah. So my buddy at the time was a photographer and worked for the Space Needle. And they said, hey, we want you to cover this event because we're helping put it on because the EMP, as it used to be called, is right in the shadow of the Space Needle. And side note, you should go up to the Space Needle if you haven't, because they just had their new deck open.
Yeah.
And the new deck has glass floors.
All right, we're going to go to the Space Needle.
You should do that. But anyway,
have you done it since?
No, it opened a week ago.
Oh, okay,
2 weeks ago. It's brand new.
All right.
And I asked, I go, well, do you need someone to help you? And so he told his company, yeah, I need a guy to carry my equipment and stuff. So essentially that was my free pass into the opening of the EMP. It was a $500 plate dinner, and and all of the people that came there were celebrities. So I one time was watching Paul Allen, who plays the guitar, do some live performance with Sheryl Crow.
Oh, that's cool.
Inside there. As I'm sitting there watching this, I see Annie Lennox leaning up against the wall in the back.
Walking on broken glass.
Yep. There's so many celebrities. Steven Spielberg was there. The famous Seattle glass artist, Dale Chihuly Glass, was there. Jeffrey Katzenberg, who founded DreamWorks.
Right.
So, yeah, I have one picture of me standing next to Spielberg, Katzenberg, Chihuly, Gates. And I'm like, I'm so out of place here in my rented tux. But no, I'm sitting here watching the Sheryl Crow jam on stage with Paul Allen, and all of a sudden I feel someone kind of next to me, and I look over and it's Bill. And I'm like, okay, so I'm like a 21-year-old college kid at this point.
Right.
I'm like, the richest man in the world is standing next to me. I don't know what I could possibly say. There's nothing that I could say. I mean, I'm a fan of your work. I mean, I just
Can
don't
you pay
know.
my student loans?
There's just nothing I felt like I had that could relate to a conversation. And while I was sitting there thinking about, what could I even ask, I noticed that there's someone on the left side of me. And I'm like, well, that guy's standing pretty close. And I look up, and sure enough, it's this big guy, huge build, with an earpiece in. And I'm like, oh, I know who you are. And then I kind of glance over my shoulder casually, and there's one standing directly behind me. And then I look kind of to the right of Bill, who's to my right, and there's another guy there. So I'm like, okay, I'm totally flanked by Bill Gates' security. I ain't saying a word.
No.
I'm not going to move too fast. I'm not going to do anything. But, yeah, it's funny. It was funny, but that was the opening of the EMP. Over the years, it is evolved more into a fantasy and sci-fi and almost like a movie museum, to the point where they have rebranded just in the last year and a half to be called Mopop. So museum of pop culture.
And you were there recently, right, with your son?
Yes, because we had the Marvel exhibit come through.
Which is still going on, and I'm going to go participate with that.
Awesome. Anyone that's a fan of not just Marvel, I mean, Marvel Comics, they've got some amazing pieces there. You're going to be surprised at what original pieces are on the wall of Marvel history. I won't spoil anything for you. But also lots and lots of costumes and prop pieces from MCU films.
All right.
And so you got a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. But I mean, that is just the main traveling display that's on right now. Before they still have Star Trek there as well.
Oh.
So Star Trek is still there, and that's free with admission now.
Cool.
And then they hosted the Star Wars Identities costume one about a year and a half ago as well. So they get a lot of cool traveling. But they have a horror section for horror films downstairs.
Oh, I can't wait.
They have a fantasy section that's got like everything from original Wizard of Oz to Narnia to all sorts of fun stuff. So it's a great little pop culture museum, and it should be on anyone's to-do list.
Right. So being the tourist that I am, because I am there, so the Space Needle and the Mopop are nearby each other, right?
They are directly next door.
Oh, sweet. So
Yes.
what else in the area should I check out if I'm planning my day?
Well, you could walk to Pike's Place from there. I mean, you might Uber, or taxi, or
it's
drive.
close enough to walk.
It is. That's great. Back in the day, I used to tell you to go to the huge, like almost flagship FAO Schwartz store, but we
teardrop.
know that's right. Can't quite do that. You need a time machine to do that. But that's typically the big stuff. Pike's Place, EMP, Space Needle. They have GameWorks. So Steven Spielberg and his buddies from DreamWorks back in the day created this, what they hope would be a chain of really fancy, like arcades.
Right.
And they started it in Seattle, and I don't think it really ever branched out farther than that, but they had the state-of-the-art stuff. I used to work in Seattle, and I would lunch break there because it would be fun. So that's
lunch break.
That's walking distance from Pike's Place as well, and that's right where they have Emerald City Comic Con. It's Washington Convention Center is right there.
I'm hoping to do an ECC one year.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's it's getting bigger and bigger though, so it's kind of less fun the bigger it gets. But yeah, they get a lot of talent. Unfortunately for me, not as much Star Wars as I want. They actually tend to do a lot of Star Trek. They cater the Star Trek fans quite a bit around here.
Well, I've noticed in con world things go in cycles, and so while there was a time where you could get a ton of Star Wars people versus Star Trek people. Now it's kind of flip flopped.
Yep.
Of course, we're losing a lot of our Star Wars actors. I mean, Jeremy Bullock just announced his retirement from conventions. David Prowse was 2 years ago.
Yep. And you got Mark Hamill now still goes to the big shows, but he charges 2 arms and a leg nowadays. So I think his graphs are always over 200 now.
Right. Well, I think it was Celebration they were 250.
Right. And so that has grown exponentially. 5 years ago, you could have got it for 75.
Right.
So
I think if he's at Celebration in Chicago, I would guess 300.
Right.
I would just imagine if it's going to stay between 250 and 300. I would, knowing how these things work, it'll go up to 300.
So a couple weeks ago, I hosted a few panels at a new convention that opened up in the Seattle area called Toy and Geek Fest, Washington State Toy and Geek Fest, that happened, and I was able to interview a handful of Star Wars and toy collecting celebrities, personalities. But I just it had been a few years since I had met Chewbacca. He's come to the Pacific Northwest quite a bit, so I have a handful of autographs from him.
That's almost.
Sorry.
Which Chewbacca are we talking about?
Oh, sorry. Peter Mayhew.
Peter Mayhew.
And I interviewed him for a panel I did recently for his appearance, and I just wasn't prepared. I didn't know that he was such. He needs a lot of assistance now, and I don't mean just physically, because
right.
He's had double knees replaced, But
He just had spinal surgery too.
and that was right after that show that I did. That's why I think he's still laid up. But he has a handler that travels with him, and this guy named Ryan, he answered probably about a third of his questions because he was getting old, and I think there's some health issues there. And so, you know, I foresee an end of, you know, his touring, which I asked him, and he'd been on the road doing tours, being cons and shows since '97.
Right. I mean, this
20 years.
Yeah, this all started. I saw them all Dragon Con '97 when they did this Man Behind the Mask tour.
Yes.
And it was, you know, David Prowse and Peter Mayhew, Kenny Baker,
Bullock,
and Jimmy Bullock. That was kind of the core of this. And then the following year, Anthony Daniels started popping up.
Yep.
And doing shows. And so Anthony Daniels is also on my list. I need to get. I have one card signed, but I gotta get a Rebels card because he was on that one episode.
Yep. Word to the wise. Give him lots of space. Don't bump that table. It's a big pet peeve, and he will let you have it.
I don't want to bump the table either because I want that autograph pristine.
He does give a great graph. That sounds wrong, but Anthony Daniels gives great graphs.
I just got some really good ones too. Recently I got I guess it's the last one. I got Tia Sakar.
Yep.
And she gives a really good graph too. So I got that.
She did. So nice, so sweet. I got a chance to interview her at the same time I did Peter Mayhew a couple weeks ago. And
we'll post those in the show notes, so you can you can also listen to them because they're great.
Yes, we have a lot of the clips from it. We didn't give the whole interviews because a lot of it was sometimes tangents and stuff about other stuff. But I actually should send you the full Tia Sakar because I know that you are a huge Rebels fan.
I am a huge Rebels fan.
I bet you'd be interested in all of it.
Thank you. I would be.
Yeah.
And I've got so this weekend is Boston Fan Expo Boston's happening this weekend.
Okay.
And so I have a friend who I've sent off for a Rebels card for Billy D. Williams of Orlando.
Awesome.
So I'll be having that signed this weekend. So that should be in next week, hopefully. So I'm looking for it. So that will be my 20th Rebels card I've gotten signed.
Wow.
Of the customs.
I can't believe you've met that many.
Well, I haven't but I either got out obtained. Yeah, I've met a good bit of them. Don't get me wrong. But and sometimes I just can't get everywhere. Like I think the most difficult one right now was it was easy to get, but Tom Baker's in England.
Sure.
And he's also getting up in years.
Sure.
And so I wanted to grab him on a Bendu, and you can get him from his website. And it was super easy, super just painless. Just pay for it, send it off, and get it back. It wasn't that bad at all.
And that's what I just did with Steven Stanton. Now that he's doing autographs for charity, I just mailed away for my Obi-Wan.
And that's very cool. I'm fixing to mail off for Tarkin actually on Monday.
Yes, and he's doing a free 2-day delivery, I think.
Yep.
Up and through mid-August. I think.
Mid-August. Yeah, definitely mid-August. We'll post a link too for that, so you can get. Our show notes will be huge. Me and Jake both talk a lot of Star Wars because we like Star Wars. We both have Star Wars podcasts. If you want to listen to one of the best Star Wars action figure podcasts, definitely listen to Toy Run. But I want to move on. Let's talk about some other toys that you don't normally get to talk about because you're like me. We're both kids of the '80s, and we've had some discussions already on this car trip that we're just going to kind of rehash because I think it's fun. I learned something today that I'm excited about from Jake. Me and Jake both share a deep, deep love for G.I. Joe the movie.
Yes.
That movie's amazing.
That movie was everything to me. I don't know. I read the comics as a kid, but I even have the infamous silent issue. Like, as a kid, the Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I bought that off the shelf from Harco Drugs in Davidson, Alabama.
There you go.
I have a copy of it. It is not in the best condition.
No, all mine. I think the cover's nearly detached itself because I read it all the time. But, or looked at it
all the time.
Ironic. But the overall comics, they just weren't. They did not grip me like the cartoon.
Right.
And then the movie just took the cartoon to a whole nother level. You asked me earlier. I don't think I ever answered what my favorite Joe was.
So we're like, before we get into this discussion about it, because that's what started the G.I. Joe in the movie conversation. I'll preface this. You have a favorite Star Wars figure you like to collect. And for the audience, that's
Bespin Luke.
Yeah, he loves his Bespin and Bespin fatigues.
I think it's the best balance of Luke out there because he's still raw and carries a blaster, but yet he's still skilled enough to take on Vader for a while with a lightsaber. So I really like that. He's armed as both.
As a kid, that was my favorite Luke.
Yep.
No lie, I like it.
It's awesome.
Because same reason. He got the blaster and the yellow lightsaber.
I know, and I was so excited when the toy came out for the Jedi Luke, and I was like, he's got a blaster and a lightsaber again, yes! And then you realize, no, that's not his blaster. He doesn't need it now. It's a little dark and, a little more...
a little moody like his dad.
Yep. So, not as cool as Bespin Luke for me.
All right, so we were talking G.I. Joe. So your favorite G.I. Joe figure, your favorite Cobra.
Absolutely. I grew up loving Flint, but then Falcon came along, and I was
Don Johnson.
all about Falcon. Yeah, I think I also liked that he was a ladies' man.
Falcon, the buff Flint.
Right? I mean, they're both the berets. I absolutely love that he was just a cocky guy that was drooling over
Lieutenant Falcon. I love
Jinx and everything else.
I love in the movie when he gets in trouble with Duke and he's like, I'm pulling rank. He's like, no, you're not. I'm Duke.
Right?
Because Duke's only a sergeant.
And that has always bothered me. Duke is the leader of the Joes, and yet half the Joes outranked him if you read the file cards.
Right. Well, I mean, there's an episode of G.I. Joe that, or it may be the movie. I can't remember, but there's Beachhead is mad because he's not in charge, basically.
Okay.
And so they do the rundown of who's in charge, and it's Flint going,
You aren't Beachhead. First comes Hawk, then Duke, then me, and finally you.
Yeah, well maybe that'll change someday.
Beachhead's like the 4th or 5th on the list, but I remember that, so that's how I knew who was in charge.
I would spend hours of my youth reorganizing my G.I. Joe file cards that I had cut out. Like, sometimes I would sort them by rank. Sometimes I'd sort them by code name. Sometimes by last name. I remember once sorting them by regions that they were born in. So, like, I remember always trying to find one that was from Seattle. And that was Lifeline, growing up. Lifeline.
The closest one for me is Beachhead, was born in Auburn, Alabama.
Yep.
War Eagle.
And I, get this, you have the pacifists being from Seattle.
Boy, am I hungry.
What do you want?
Maybe I'll get an apple.
An apple? Let's buy some candy.
Hold on, fellas.
Lifeline!
Listen to your friend Terrell. He's got the right idea.
Yeah, you never catch an NBA player eating a candy bar for a game.
A candy bar might give you a quick boost of energy, but after 20 minutes, you'll feel run down. So let's eat smart.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Also, Beachhead from Auburn, Alabama, where there are no beaches. Just
funny.
Just could have put him in Gulf Shores. Would have made more sense.
That is funny.
I love Flint. I didn't get my first Flint until I got Tiger Force Flint.
Okay.
Because I missed out on the Flint wave.
Yep. I think I actually got those out of order as well. I think I had Tiger Force first.
And then later on, way later on, when they did, I got the reissue of Flint, I guess in the 2000s.
Yes, when I think they went Toys R Us exclusive.
Right.
That's when G.I. Joe was dying for the first time. Or no, they had just come back. They had actually died off. They tried the G.I. Joe Extreme.
Right.
They tried Sergeant Savage and the Screaming Eagles or something like that, right? Those were two different attempts to make Joe something else. Didn't quite work, and so they started off with Toys R Us exclusives.
And then I got the other Flint I got was the one in Cobra Disguise when he was from the
episode.
it's from the Revenge of Cobra. That's the one that introduces Shipwreck.
Yes. And that came out in the 25th anniversary style, right?
Yeah, I think so. I still have them, so I'm very happy I got those.
That is very cool. I just could not get into the 25th anniversary stuff because they kind of changed the mold of the figure.
Right.
And I'm very much now. I've relegated myself to being a kind of a vintage only Joe. I like the O-ring.
I liked. I didn't get him. Every now and then I look at anybody to see if I'm going to pull the trigger on it. But did you see the Cobra Commander in the suit?
Yes.
And with a podium.
And they had a couple versions.
Yeah. I want one of those just because it looks that idea to me. It looks like a great figure.
Yeah.
There's a Pythona too. And speaking of Cobra Law,
okay. So one thing I do, and like I said, I focus on vintage when I buy Joe.
Right.
Unless it's from the movie.
Right.
This is how much I love the movie. I actually joined the So, for listeners, in case they don't know, I'm a Star Wars nut and a completist for action figures. For Star Wars 3 3/4 action figures. So I have thousands and thousands and thousands of Star Wars figures. So I don't spend a lot of time too much collecting other modern lines.
Right.
Because I have my hands full, typically. But I did join the G.I. Joe Collectors Club just because years ago they finally offered a Pythona. And then did you see that the next year, or was it year before, that they did a Mindbender in winter gear? It's just like his.
Oh, okay.
So those are both club exclusives, which I had to join just to get those figures.
That's very cool. I saw the Python and I thought that looked really, really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Does she come with a face hugger thing?
She does.
Oh, see,
she does.
Oh, that movie's so good.
It is. I mean, the opening of that film was like unlike any other that I knew of.
Right, both openings, because you've got this ridiculous attack on the Statue of Liberty for some reason,
right?
But it's done in a great 80s musical, and so Cobra finally gets a theme song that's worthy of Cobra, and then G.I. Joe has to show it up, to ruin it with their own theme song.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry, Cobra, Cobra, armies of the night, evil taking flight, Cobra.
As Cobra. Anyway, but then you get the actual episode or movie start with Pythona sneaking into the Terradome on Cobra Island, and just her acid fingernails and organic weaponry, and she looked cool. Oh, I want to go back and watch it again.
How is that not the inspiration for the Yuzong Vong?
Right. Oh yeah.
Later on in Star Wars novels. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what it was.
Exactly.
The whole Cobra Law race is Yuzong Vong.
See, if they let me, would make a G.I. Joe movie, like a live action movie, that's what we would do. We would do Cobra Law. We would do Cobra Law.
I know people love the comics, and no disrespect to Larry Hama and his fans, but man, I just my background for Cobra is that it is a ancient society who wants to rise again. I love it.
But what I like about it fits our demographic basically, because it's more sci-fi based.
Yes.
And we love sci-fi stuff, and so and G.I. Joe cartoons were very sci-fi based. You had, the mass device is a science fiction weapon.
Yep.
The weather dominator, a science fiction weapon. There's an episode where they make a giant amoeba that eats things. And
sure.
Airtight has to figure out how to kill it with enough cyanide from an apple orchard. Who knew?
And see, and that's the thing, and that's where the toy line went too. The toy line went into space and sci-fi with the Star Corps later on, but they also did like Eco Warriors and mutants, and the toy line was going and was getting, it was taking military but throwing it into, like you said, sci-fi and fantastical places. Whereas I felt the comic book, for the most part, stayed more military.
Right.
And I wanted more of the other stuff.
Almost like we had bats. I mean, we finally had something that G.I. Joe could shoot at.
Right.
And bats were cool.
The original battle droids.
Amazing stuff. So your favorite Cobra?
Good question. You know what? I remember, and I still have my original Joes. I loved the, oh my gosh, the Crimson, wow.
Are you talking about Zayat and Tomax? Or
Yes, what's their syllabus called?
The Crimson Guard.
Crimson Guard, yeah. Wow. I could not come up with Guard.
Or later on, they were the Crimson Guard Immortal.
Yes, but I loved the look of the original Crimson Guard, and that whole concept that they could be anybody.
Right.
They could be your neighbor.
Right. There are accountants and lawyers and teachers and...
I loved.
Well, wait. So, you're a teacher. Are you telling us that realistically you're a Crimson Guard?
You just stay out of my closet. We'll be fine.
We won't see your uniform. I have a friend of mine who cosplays, has a Crimson Guard Immortal.
The Immortal ones are scarier than
they have the same traditional Crimson Guard helmet.
Okay.
And he's got it. It's great. I've worn it. I won't lie. You had to put it on. You're just like,
of course.
So yeah, the Crimson Guard are sweet.
I love that figure, but I might go with Chrome Dome Cobra Commander, just because I never had him as a kid.
Right.
The Cobra Commander I grew up with was the Melloway hoodie one.
See, the one I grew up with was the
battle armor.
The battle armor with a snorkel.
Yeah, 86, I think.
Yeah, the battle armor snorkel. Mm-hmm. The snorkel made no sense, but whatever. I can swim, but that was the Cobra Commander. I never had the other two. For me, I love Cobra guys, and I like Lions of Cobra, All Day Long Python Patrol. Those guys look neat.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love the Alley Viper, because even though his color scheme makes no sense, take a little orange and blue. I'm gonna fight urban warfare.
Right.
And but then on the flip side, you got great figures like the Night Viper.
Yes.
Who's got the flip top helmet. And so it's really, really hard. But, trying to nail it down for me, it's got to be Serpentor.
Know that I am the one you seek. I am the one born to rule, destined to conquer. Let those who fear me follow me. Let those who oppose me die. For I am Serpentor, and this I command!
Serpentor comes out like he's, bare-chested with a snake hood and a cape and a cool-ass flying chariot. He's got two snakes, or one gold, he had one snake and a knife.
Right.
He's like, I don't need a laser, I have a knife and a snake.
His chariot has lasers.
Right. But in hand-to-hand combat when I'm fighting.
Right. I recall getting Serpentor for my birthday. It was either my 10th or 11th birthday, 86, 87.
Right.
I decided that year I was going to have my birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. And it was the old school Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, yeah.
When it was awesome, right? I have taken my kids once or twice to a modern version of Chuck E. Cheese, and I'm like, this is such a...
You're just sad.
There's no ball pits. There's no, massive climbing structure that, extends all over the entire complex. But, yeah, it's not quite the same, but I do remember getting... Well, it doesn't even... My Chuck E. Cheese doesn't even have the cool room with the big performance in it, with all the animatronic characters that you would go on the hour, or whatever. But yeah, Serpentor, I remember 10th, 11th birthday at a Chuck E. Cheese. Doesn't get any more 80s than that, man.
My honorable mention, though, technically not a Cobra, but still a villain. I love Destro's Iron Grenadiers.
Yes.
That figure looked awesome. Also looked very Star Wars-y, so he really mixed with, he's an elite stormtrooper or an elite bounty hunter. Somebody who... He was definitely going after Han Solo.
Did you mix toys growing up?
Of course I did. Okay, I mixed... Did you not?
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it?
No G.I. Joe ever played with a Star Wars figure.
My 3 3/4 inch played together.
Sure.
But that's what I mix. I wouldn't mix like sizes. He-Man never hung out with like.
You weren't going Toy Story.
Right, I wasn't going Toy Story.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?
Because size matters, I guess. Sorry, Yoda. Size does matter. I just was trying to. I couldn't make it work. So He-Man would hang out like with Thundercats, but he's a little shorter.
Yeah.
Silverhawks, he was a little bit beefier. God,
Yeah,
He-Man was such an odd size for him.
By the power of Grayskull.
It was.
But I had all of them. I had a ton of them.
Oh, I love them today, but the problem is they just become so wobbly because of their, they got the O-ring type of rubber band in there, and so they fall apart.
I guess those are falling apart, disintegrating pretty good now.
Yeah, and they're, they get real loose over time, so it's not an easy collection to display if you haven't gone through it.
My favorite He-Man and Skeletor were the Battle Armor ones.
Okay, I didn't have those ones.
Oh, I got 7th birthday. Got those. I got pictures of me like after I opened the pack, not the package, but the wrapper, the birthday wrapping, and just me going, "Oh my god!" And so I think I was just like a cowboy.
The Battle Armor ones, are those the ones that had the battle damage?
Yeah, so you would click it, and it's because it used the Mattel crack 'em up card technology.
Yes.
And so
I had those. I had those. I have a couple of those still, actually. I salvaged some from my youth.
Nice. Oh man, what else did I play with? I had a bunch of Jason the Wheel Warriors.
Thundering across the stars to save the universe from the monster minds, Jace searches for his father to unite the magic root and lead his Lightning League to victory over the changing form of Sawboss. Wheeled warriors explode into battle. Lightning strikes.
There's a power that comes from deep inside of you. It's every day reaching toward the light.
Now that is a line that, here's rare fact. I'm complete on that line.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got most of it as a kid. I've only had to pick up a couple pieces as an adult. So that was a small line, which is nice because it's easy to complete. But the biggest thing with that was that toy line did not match the cartoon line.
No, because the cartoon line was written later.
Yes. And so that was always like, you never got a Jace figure.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I mean, the vehicles look the same, and I guess that's the main point of the series.
Right.
But for someone who wanted, their actual characters, and the wizard, and the little girl, and the robots, you're not going to get those in the toy line.
But it's still a great toy line. The mix and matching. I had a few of them. I had a couple of years. I found more of the plant, the ball.
Sure.
I found more Sawboss in this group because I got them at Dollar General, super cheap.
See, we don't have those stores out here, so I keep hearing that. Even today, in 2018, people are like, "Yeah, I picked up a bunch of stuff at Dollar General." I'm like,
"Oh, that's right." Well, see, you got something that I don't have. We don't have Fred Meyer's.
We don't have Fred. Well, it's Kroger.
Right.
It's a branch of Kroger, but I think
didn't know. I won't lie. I learned about Fred Meyer's from a Glenn Phillips song.
Really?
Yeah, from Toad the Wet Sprocket. Glenn Phillips on his first solo album has a song called Fred Meyer's, and it's about living in a Fred Meyer's after a post-apapocalyptic.
That's fine.
One must wash the other. Each man must be brother. Band up and take cover. Go dancing, set fires, tag buildings, slash tires, drive go-karts, like shiners, just hang out at Fred Meyer's.
I didn't know that was a thing until I thought he made it up first, and then on the wiki he was like, "Oh no, that's a real store." And then I heard you guys talk about finding stuff there.
Oh yeah.
And
they're infamous for not living by street dates. So you will find toys that have a release date about a month before then.
I actually saw my first Fred Meyer's on my way to see you. So
there you go.
I may have to stop by and see what they have.
Live the magical experience of the Fred Meyer's.
The new ones everyone's finding stuff at now is the saw the bunch of the Thrawn line stuff.
Oh,
we're finding it. It's not Five Below. It's the other one.
Family Dollar or something like that.
We have Family Dollars.
You have Family Dollars? We don't have those. We have a Dollar Tree, and they don't do anything over $1.
Right.
So we never get.
Yeah, we have Dollar Trees too. I want to find out who's been getting cases of the stuff I couldn't find anywhere for dirt cheap.
Right.
Oh, there's all those beautiful Thrawns. All the stuff I played. I also played with Captain Power. I love Captain Power and Soldiers of the Future. Things I wish they would bring back. That they tried a couple of times. The guy created, but he's now in trouble for the being inappropriate with people back in a while back. So I don't think that's kind of happening. But he's one of those few guys who actually owns his property. It's not owned by, he made it and it was financed by Mattel, but Mattel doesn't own it. And so he's been trying to. Like the last time he had a website, everything launched in 2016, saying, "Hey, it's going to be called Phoenix Rising. It was going to be done in the Battlestar Galactica kind of for adults."
Cool.
Because originally Captain Power was made for it was an all ages show. Mattel's like, "We got this technology. Can we make some toys with it?" And then what killed the show was the fact that nobody knew when to air it.
Yeah.
So you would start watching it, and then it would move to midnights or 5 a.m. or
right.
So that just ruined that show.
Unless you subscribed to TV Guide, you had no idea when it was going to pop up.
And so, but I have it on DVD, and it's for an 80s sci-fi film show.
Does it still work?
I don't know if it still works via DVD. I haven't had the toys in such a long time. But the show still, I thought it held up. I mean, it's cheesy but fun.
So many properties from the 80s that I would love to see come back, and some of them do, but the problem is they come back, in convention exclusive form or high level collector. So for example, Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, Bucky O'Hare.
Bucky O'Hare came out, and the figures are amazing, but they're $25, $30 a piece. And I consider myself a toy collector,
right?
And I like to collect toys, and usually a lot of toys. And so it's hard for me. I've never been able to get behind the 6-inch Star Wars stuff. I mean, I have a handful of it, but I don't collect it obsessively like I do with the 3 3/4, because again, it's $20, $25 a piece.
Right.
I mean, that adds up.
It does. It does.
A wave of 5 come out, you have $100 gone.
And as someone who collects 6-inch, but luckily I've specialized, so I'll get the Rebels guys. I will get, but I'll get a couple of them. I'll get doubles. Or I looked out this year and into last year. I found a bunch of them at Walmart for $5 a piece.
That is good.
I still have 4 or 5 Heras that I got for $5.
Oh, nice.
And then the last 2, I bought 2 cases of the Solo stuff for $5. I've still got some of that stuff left.
I've only found ever the gins. My buddy actually found a buttload of the gins at $1. You see those?
No.
Yeah, they came down to $1 in certain places. But I got a lot of the Kmart exclusive gins for $5.
Yeah, I saw that when the Kmarts were going out. You were posting that on the Facebook page a lot.
Yeah, they had the Kylo Rens and the Reys there as well. But yeah, so I really wish some of these toy lines would come back, but be again once made for kids.
Right.
Get kids, because I just don't really think anybody does that if they don't have a media property to support it. So Power Lords has recently come back out, and that was a small line.
Yeah, it was a small line.
And now it's a small line, but it's really expensive if you want to get your hands on it, because I think they only released it at cons.
What was the suction cup robot guys?
Say it again?
What was the suction cup robot guys? Early 80s, they were Max something. Remember they were robots and they had suction cups on the back and those
RoboForce.
RoboForce, yeah. I had the first one of those. I had one of those. So I was thinking weird lines that you might see.
Yeah, no, those are those are fairly inexpensive if people want to get those.
Okay.
Now,
after this podcast, the market's going to go up.
Way up. What is super expensive is Mask.
Yeah.
I was almost complete as a kid, and that's a collection that I didn't take with me when I moved out of my folks' house, and it somehow disappeared.
The Mask makes sense to me. I mean, it was a small line anyway.
Yeah.
but and not just in like release, but like literally the figures are tiny.
Yeah.
The masks were tinier. So trying to find like complete stuff, because you talk about trying to find Star Wars weapons complete. Jeez.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, you talk about the worst line to complete loose, Dino Riders.
Really?
Dino Riders has so many tiny, tiny pieces that to find complete Dino Rider sets is few and far between.
See, Dino Riders should come. I would watch that.
Oh, I absolutely would. And they were going to take it. They were going to expand the line. It ended up being canceled, of course. But they were going to expand into Ice Age and make all these woolly mammoth. I think they actually did produce a couple of the woolly mammoth related sets, but they were expected to go farther. But the cartoon that they brought out to support that, you can get it on. I have it on VHS, but the Ice Age, Dino Riders Ice Age, is an awesome cartoon.
I'll have to check it out.
I'm sure you can find it on YouTube.
I'm trying to think what all the things we played as a kid. Small wise, I loved Air Raiders.
Air Raiders. See, I didn't do Air Raiders, but I did Sky Commanders.
Sky Commanders, yeah. I liked Air Raiders because I liked the design of the figures.
Okay.
They're 2-inch figures. They're tiny, but they looked. Both heroes and villains looked cool. And you would get you could buy troop packs, army packs.
Yep.
And you'd have one really cool painted, even one or two different schemes than everybody else, but you have a different look, a commander, and then you'd have 5 or 6 of your normal troop guys. Plus, they had those air weapons that actually fired missiles and stuff, and that was cool.
That was the gimmick for Air Raiders. Sky Commanders was they had these strings that you can connect on your beds or your tables and doorknobs, and then they would slide back and forth. I would set those up across my bedroom like crazy, and Mom would knock on the door to drop laundry off, and I'm like, hold on, because it was like that scene in Mission Impossible where he's got to dodge all those laser wires, all different colors strung around the room.
G.I. Joe had that too. They had remember they had the action backpack things, and there was a chopper, and they had a rock like a rope climber.
Oh, the wind up, the mechanical ones.
Yeah, and had the guy with the machine gun that would look like it would go rat-a-tat-tat-tat, that kind of gun.
Those the motorized accessory sets.
Also things that no one makes anymore. You just get figures. You don't get things to go with your figures.
The accessory, well, depends though. It really depends on what brand you're dealing with, because some brands have such a high license rate that they have to pay so much for it they can't put a lot into the figure. Just take a look at, for example, a 6-inch Star Wars figure comes with the figure and usually one accessory. A 6-inch,
which didn't start out that way, because when the Black Series first came out, they used to come up with stuff,
different heads and stuff. But that's 5 years ago almost or so. And but you compare that to the Marvel figures that Hasbro makes. They come with those alternative heads, but they also come with the Build-A-Figure piece, which is just like every 4 or 5 figures you get a large figure.
Right.
And it's like, well, this is the same company. How does this work? But it all comes down to, how much they're licensing. Take a G.I. Joe figure when they were on the shelves, that 25th anniversary line, right?
Right.
And compare that to a Black Series that was on the shelf at the same time. The 3 3/4 Black Series.
Right.
Black Series would get 1 or 2 accessories. Those G.I. Joe figures would have so many.
So, speaking about the 3 3/4 Black Series figure.
Yeah.
As of last week, so that would be the 1st of August, there is a Walmart in Saraland, Alabama, that has a Black Series. And you may tell me the character, but he's an alien-looking Imperial.
Alien-looking Imperial.
Almost like a yak face-looking Imperial guy, but he's but they still have him.
Really?
Just on the shelf.
So random. We would never have that at a Walmart here, but we have these other stores, these like QVC type stores. QVC, that's not right.
CVS.
CVS, thank you. Called Rite Aid.
Oh yeah, we know Rite Aids.
Well, Rite Aids have figures sitting on the shelf that are good 12 years old.
still at the drugstore pricing.
Yeah, $12.99 or something.
I keep, from time to time, I would try to buy it. Last year they had Dutch too, and I bought the Dutch and had him sign it.
Awesome.
At Pensacon, so that was 2 years ago. But that guy, the Imperial guy's been there, and the only reason why I haven't bought him is because I feel like he's Brooks and Shawshank, and that he's been institutionalized, and it's not my right to bring him out into the world. I don't want to find my little action figure hanging from, or trying to bust his parole. I just sometimes toys deserve to be on the shelf. I just
send me back.
I just wait to look at ways to break my parole. I could shoot the Safeway manager.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, heartbreaking.
What a great way to bring down the podcast.
Right, I know. I'm trying to rack my brain to think of who it is. I don't have to...
We'll look it up. If not, I will discover him and throw in the show notes. That's why we have show notes. Visionaries. I would love more Visionaries.
Okay. Well, they're trying.
They are. Hasbro's trying. I don't know how hard they're trying.
I was going to say the same thing. Last year's San Diego Comic-Con for Hasbro, one of their exclusives, one of their major exclusives, was their Revolution world, right? The shared universe they're trying to bring.
Right.
That includes Transformers, G.I. Joe,
Visionaries,
Micronauts,
yeah,
Action Man, UK version of G.I. Joe, and there's one we're missing, ROM, the Space Knight.
I almost was going to go with Jim. But she's Mattel, right?
She is Mattel.
And so...
but yeah, so...
No, Jim's Hasbro.
No, you're right. Jim is Hasbro.
Mark Burry's Mattel, so...
You're right.
Jim, I like Jim.
That is...
Because as a kid, on weekdays, G.I. Joe was first... Oh, no, Jim was first and then G.I. Joe, so I had to get through Jim to get to G.I. Joe. So I've watched a lot of Jim cartoons, and I'm kind of down with Jim.
Oh, of course. My sister had the doll, and I remember I wanted to be... I rented so badly to be, what's her? Rio.
Rio.
I wanted to be Rio. I wish I had a Rio doll as a kid.
I did not see the new movie because I heard it strayed too much from what it was.
I'm the exact same.
And so I was like...
I have not done it yet because I have such a love for that original Gem series. I actually have my sister's doll. I inherited it when she stopped caring about toys.
Well,
those are
it's in good hands. And
it is. It's I have her Gem, and then I inherited her half of our shared Care Bear collection. So I actually do have an entire complete series of vintage Care Bears.
I never had any Care Bears. The only I mean, as a kid, I had stuffed animals.
Sure.
But the only two that I would quote unquote care about, the ones that were important to me, was when I was 3, I got this husky dog from Avon.
Okay.
And he's bipedal, and he came with a husky coat, and it was just a dog. And then I had a gizmo from Gremlins.
Oh, nice.
That squeaked. And so I keep looking on eBay for the husky dog. I see him every now and then. Again, I hadn't pulled the trigger on it. It's funny how nostalgia works, where you're I used to have this. I need to kind of have this again.
Right.
Somebody on one of the websites, I don't know, one of the Facebook fan groups was talking about the G.I. Joe APC.
Yep.
So I'm adopted.
Okay.
And half adopted. My father adopted me, and after he married my mother, and that was the first toy he bought me before they were married, and before he adopted me. He bought me the G.I. Joe APC.
Awesome.
And so it's twofold. It's a toy I don't have anymore. I wish I did, because I was a kid. You play with them, and I kind of want to get it back again just for that kind of nostalgia.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a great troop carrier.
It's a great troop carrier. Oh, I don't know. Every time I try to put troops in, see, again, mixing Star Wars and G.I. Joe. Poor Star Wars guys has no articulation.
Yep.
So their legs are just sticking out, and they don't really carry as well as a Joe would.
No, Joe. That was one of the things that made Joe magical. It's funny. I did not need articulation when collecting as a kid and playing with the original Star Wars stuff. Didn't even cross my mind that I can remember. I get G.I. Joe, and it's like, this is awesome. I can do anything with him. And Star Wars died by the time G.I. Joe became popular, so it wasn't even a competition.
Right.
I like this better. It's just, I like this too.
Yeah.
And, that's the great thing about those vintage G.I. Joe sets, is that you could just, I had Slaughter's Warthog.
Oh, yeah.
The big double missile rack, but that wasn't the coolest thing about it to me. The coolest thing is that the sides open and you could put a bunch of troops there, some at consoles, some just waiting to, be transported. And then you had, all sorts of cockpits on toys.
Same thing for me. My favorite Star Wars vehicle is the Imperial Troop Transport.
There you go.
Because it had those weird sizes you put stormtroopers in. It had the weird, mask that would, you put on your rebel guys to.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it did. It was something because you let everyone know they're a prisoner. Someone out there knows exactly what they're. Somewhere in canon that'll be a thing. But it had doors that opened up, and it was you could stick guys in there. And, it's so fun.
No, the Troop Transport was great.
So
I had the second version, the one that didn't make the old, all the different movie sound effects. Right. So I had the later reissue. I believe that is when the first time they called it was the Imperial Troop Transport.
Right.
And then it was the Rebel Cruiser, the second one that didn't have sound effects in the movies.
But it was very, very cool.
Not the Rebel Cruiser, the Imperial Cruiser.
Well, Jake, thank you for spending some time and talking 80s cartoons with me. And 80s toys. And I know because with Toy Run, you really focus on Star Wars, so you don't really get to talk about the other stuff that other passions in your life. And you're like me.
I'm hungry to talk about it.
So how can people find you?
Well, let's see. I also run the website from forlamdesecus.com where you can find anything Star Wars action figure related.
It's one of my favorite names for a website, by the way.
It's very inside baseball, and it goes over most people's heads. But that's anything Kenner and Hasbro action figure related. So you can find me there. You can get me through social media, of course, and Instagram and Facebook, and I'm barely on Twitter. Twitter's not my favorite place to hang out. I like to feel good in my social media interactions. They can be rough on Twitter. And of course, the Toy Run podcast. So you can download that and hear that on iTunes and Apple, and that's the same thing. Google and Stitch and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm out there if you want to get a hold of me.
And you might see him running around different conventions too. He pops up everywhere. You might see him at the next celebration.
I absolutely will be at the next celebration. I don't know what capacity just yet. Last time I did a panel and we had a table on the show floor. I'd like to be a little more of a fan this time. But yeah, still work in progress. We'll see.
And of course, you can find all of Jake's info on our show notes. So I'll have a whole section for him. It'll be great. Of course, you can find me at ScottyWhite.com, Mopcast.com, which are literally the same website, just different domain names. You can follow me on Twitter at ScottyWhite. I am on Twitter, so still, why everyone's fleeing in droves. But Jake, thanks for spending some time with us, and thank you for showing me your great state and letting me see the Star Wars show and Star Wars. I keep saying Star Wars show, Star Wars store, and just having a blast, man. It's been a fun trip.
Well, I'm so glad. Thanks for seeking me out here. I'm happy to, as a school teacher, it's a really fun way to spend a summer day.
Well, I look forward to. I'm gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to do this again. Or you have to come down south and come see us down there. We'll treat you.
Oh, I would absolutely love it.
We will treat you good down there. Well, this is Scotty saying this is our contribution to the multiverse. Go out and make yours. Bye.
there's trouble over land and sea and air, G.I. Joe is there.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose? To defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Fighting for freedom wherever there's trouble over land and sea and air. G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe.
Thanks for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Mopcast Network, on Facebook.com/Mopcast Network, or just visit us at Mopcast.com. And remember, this is our contribution to the multiverse. Go out and make yours.
Thank you for listening to the Mopcast Network.